Welcome.
Cool. So we're back at it again with the Broke Homies podcast. This is episode 22, I believe. It could be 23, but I think it's 22. But I have a friend of mine, his roommate, at the place that I currently stay at. His name is Mike. He's an interesting guy. Say hello, Mike.
Hello.
Cool. So just to kind of explain a little bit of the background of how I met Mike. I live in an Airbnb, and in this Airbnb, there's probably about 10 to 12 different people living in the Airbnb. And as you can imagine, from like people that decide to stay long term at Airbnbs, you're going to find a lot of very interesting and sometimes odd and eccentric individuals. Mike is indeed, he falls under a similar category, but he's a very interesting example of cognitive diversity. Someone who thinks very differently, and someone that I really enjoy listening to, and just kind of like listening to his opinions about. So, Mike, just to give a little bit of background, what, how long have you been staying at Macro House?
I think about a year,
About a year.
and I love it. I'm gonna keep going like this.
Yeah. And I know that before you stayed here, you stayed in a lot of different places that were kind of similar in similar situations, correct?
I decided early on that I like being a minimalist because I've been around hoarders in the past, and I've also been around people that wasn't quite hoarders, but they didn't like how much stuff they had. It was trapping them in a bad way. And I was kind of watching that as I was growing up. So I thought I don't want to get in a situation like that where I have so much stuff around that I don't have the energy to sell it, and I don't have the energy to be spontaneous. And I want to be spontaneous so I can always find new opportunities. So I figured out that owning things isn't all what it's made out to be. You can always buy stuff when you need it.
Mhm.
Um,
And what's that example? Specifically, you're talking about owning a big house and the upkeep that it costs in the big house. That's a really interesting take that you had.
yeah, I spend all my energy pretty much just going out to free events and meeting people, and oftentimes I go to their houses. I've been in some giant um, places, and there would be like two types of people that would live there. There would be the type that fully utilized their house, where maybe they had a very important job, they had to bring people over, host events, semi-professionally or professionally. So they actually had a need for that big house. Their families were coming over. And then there would be other people that would buy a house just for an investment, hoping it would pay off. And in the meantime, they didn't realize how high the bills can be. Heating and cooling, having all those empty rooms, you want to fill it up. And I think their original vision, once they got in the house, they lost a sense of their original vision, and they just started filling it up with stuff, but not fully utilizing the house. And I would also often think that they would be happier in a smaller place where they didn't have those giant bills on top of them. So that was something I noticed.
And I know that you're talking about. You just said that like you a lot of these people that bought these houses hoped that it would be an investment. What do you think about? Do you think a lot of the people that you met with these big houses, they got it for just purely aesthetic purposes, just to kind of flex on other people, show them how much money they have, how wealthy they are?
I would say, and this is something I thought about a lot, once people get used to a certain lifestyle, I would never see them downgrade, only upgrade to keep up with their friends and their image. And I was trying to figure that out. I've never seen someone that willfully downgraded and didn't care what their friends thought.
Hmm. This is a thing that I saw recently, but you know Elon Musk, right? The Tesla guy.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan. I want to. I want to live. I'm pretty much living like him right now.
Yeah. Did you see the whole thing about he owned like 6 or 7 houses or something like that, and then he sold all of his houses, and because he just didn't see the value in having as the possessions that you were talking about. I'm also, like just my personal opinion. I'm also of like a similar mindset. I mean, case in point, I'm staying in the same place that you are. I have like a suitcase and a backpack full of everything that I need, and besides that, whatever I need is just kind of I can go out and get the things that I need for the most part. The entertainment it doesn't have to be an entertainment that I own. I can just go out and go find fun things to do all the time. And I know that you're a practitioner of that philosophy. I mean, seeing as your YouTube channel, pretty pretty interesting content that you post on there, where you go out and you you do a lot of stuff. You talk to people and you ask them questions. What kind of other stuff do you do?
Big time, big time. The big breakthrough was I found this mansion that hosted events, mainly dances, and they were like ballroom galas. People would dress in evening dresses and tuxedos, and it was just a couple bucks to get in. You could even volunteer there and get in for free if you wanted to. So once I discovered that place, I didn't even know it existed for the longest time. I realized that this is the way to go. Just go to fancy events. The people there were so much different than in the normal activities like going out to bars. They were so friendly, nice to talk to, and easy to network with. And I felt right at home there. I bought a $20 tuxedo at a thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
And I got along just fine. I bought a decent looking watch. It was a Casio. It looked like a Rolex. You just got to look like you fit in, and you have kind of the attitude that you don't have to prove anything. And people accept you.
Interesting. So, have you ever thought about, like we have COVID right now, so like it's a little bit hard to go to these kinds of events, but after that's over and like the whole the whole pandemic settles and everything, would you consider doing a video segment on something like that? Just to post on your YouTube channel.
So the the way I'm doing it right now, I only do what I'm interested in and things that I actually find fun. I don't want it to turn into work. The YouTube channel has come in handy for all the network I've been doing, because people can see that I'm actually going out and doing something. They can watch the videos and they get a good idea of who I am.
Just a little bit of background. That's for the people that you meet while you're out making the videos.
That makes networking so much easier because I don't have to prove anything to them.
It's a track record. You can see it, the video.
Exactly. It's a track record. And all I got to do is look, fun and presentable. And I got a couple different subjects up there, and I can just tell people, hey, I actually did something on that. And I can show them on my phone right then and there. That's made the networking so much easier.
That's cool. I have a friend. You've met Austin.
Yes.
He has a similar thing. It's a little bit different from yours, but it's similar in the sense that he posts his orchestrations and like the music that he composes on YouTube, and he calls it his virtual portfolio. Like it's his portfolio that he has posted online. It's public; people can view it. It's just a good place to deposit any stuff that you're working on, and it kind of works, I think, in a similar way with you, where it's like it's in a place where people the content that you make is in a place where people can readily just access it whenever they need to, and that's kind of Austin's philosophy when it comes to why he's putting his content on YouTube as well. But I mean, with that in mind, like what kind of what gives you the motivation, or like what's the creative desire that you have whenever you go out and film videos? What's like the compulsion there? Like, why do you go and make these videos?
Really, it's just for my friends and family to keep up with. I like to know that they're watching it, but a lot of the compulsion was, I'm passionate about a few subjects, and I like YouTube videos where people you can tell when they are actually passionate. I watched an old 1970s mainframe computer video the other day. I have no interest in that, but I just liked how the guy was so interested in it.
You like the
Well,
passion behind the
yes,
guy's voice.
yes. So
Yeah.
I try to only do videos like that, um, where I'm not trying to be someone I'm not.
I see. I see. Yeah. I mean, if you aren't genuine in your pursuit, then that kind of that comes off. Especially if you're making videos. You know, you can fake energy for a short period of time, but you can't do it over the long run. And so you really have to find yourself. You have to do things that you can do over a sustainable period of time, because that's how the like a lot of these content producers online, how they operate as well. It's like they can't keep making content they hate because they'll eventually quit it, or even best case scenario, if you do things that you don't want to do, you'll keep doing it, but the returns that you're getting for the work that you're doing aren't going to be worth the effort that you put in. Even financially, you might be getting a lot of money, but it might cause you a lot of stress, and it might not be worth the pursuit. And so I think it's really smart that you're very selective about the kind of content you produce, and you won't compromise on what you make for just to fit the market.
I was most passionate about that 6-part series where I did keto and walking for 4 to 6 hours a week. No one watched those videos because they figured out that there's actually hard work involved. But I was still glad I did it just because I just want to make one final statement and tell people it works. And I was happy. I didn't care how many people watched it. But that's one I don't bring up when I'm networking because it might give bad vibes to someone. So it was good to have a variety on there so I can find out what they're actually interested in and point them. For the most part, that was the park reviews because everyone likes going to fun parks and sightseeing areas. That those have been the most successful, and I had fun doing those as well.
hmm And I think as a series, yeah, the park reviews, from what I've seen, have been the most popular. But the most popular video, the singular most popular video that you have, is the Palm Pilot review, isn't it?
Yes, and I'm happy with that because
What is a Palm Pilot? Can you explain that?
it is it was a there was a sort of a um, a time and place where they made sense. In the late 90s, it was when those black and white LCD screens were starting to be viable. And it was before you couldn't really connect them to the internet or make calls all in one. So they were only for doing contact list, memos. You could even transfer business cards if multiple people had Palm Pilots. You would have a calendar on there. Basic PDA stuff. To get email on there, you would have to sync it with your computer and take it on the go. So it was a good way to read email on the go.
Mm.
So they made sense for a few years, but then they became so obsolete once the phones got all of that functionality.
Yeah, the screen isn't as lit up and as attractive as the phones that we have nowadays, right? It's like it's just black and white, and you have to use a stylus to input the letters. It's not connected to the internet like you said, so it does seem obsolete. But you made a couple really good points, like selling points for the Palm Pilot. You mentioned that the battery on this Palm Pilot will last you for how long?
Probably a month with
Without
normal
charging it.
use. Yes, it
Yeah,
was just two AAA batteries.
that's insane. And like you were also talking about the life of the Palm Pilot being something like how long it'll last. You're talking about, oh, it'll last you 100 years or something along those lines.
Yes, that's because they use the right types of plastics and lead, so nothing degrades fast. It basically doesn't degrade. And they had the right type of LCD screens at the time that didn't have any degrading issues as well. And you can pick them up for $8. A lot of times when I watch electronics reviews where people have old retro stuff, it's like a collector market on YouTube, so it's unobtainable. So this was one thing that someone could just go buy on YouTube. I mean, on eBay if they wanted to after watching the review. And I tried to do
Still in
something
the
different.
consumer market.
Yeah, eBay is full of them. They made a ton of models, and that gets a little overwhelming. But I got one of the earlier ones. What I want to do with that video is just show the fun side of it instead of just doing a straight review like a lot of people do on YouTube, just with a desk and showing it off.
Mhm.
I just want to make it a little silly where I mixed in the most silly fun situations, then intersected it with the typical YouTube review of it. So I think people liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting take on reviews, because a lot of times when you read reviews, it's because, like, you're looking on Amazon, you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna buy this microphone, this microphone, this microphone. Which one's the best bang for my buck? So you're like watching a lot of these different product reviews, but your product review was the first one that I've seen that had an absurdist take to it, where it was like, yeah, this is obviously not like a competitive machine anymore, but you used it as a centerpiece to make a really funny video, a fun and engaging video that it looks like everyone that was in the video enjoyed making, and everyone that's watched the video has had a blast watching too. It's kind of a, like, you twisted. It's like you twisted the you turned the product review niche into comedy, which I think is a very very interesting flip that you turned on product reviews.
I have another one coming up. I shooting a few scenes for it today. It's just an old arcade game, and it's a guy rescuing a girl. But I went out on a Monday night to some bars, and I jumped in this group of, it was probably 7 college girls, and I started talking about the arcade game in the middle of them, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And then I talked to another girl group about what it would be like if the roles were reversed in the video game, and the girl had to rescue the guy, and how long it would take her to get ready. How many shoes and clothes.
What kind of reactions did you get for that?
They loved it, and I'm glad I went out on a Monday because there probably wasn't enough people in the bars for them to talk to, and they were just happy when I said, hey, I'm a YouTuber doing a video, and they were so excited to do it. So if you got a crazy idea, you can always find people to do it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it invokes some sort of fun. Like if you know that the video creation process is gonna be fun, then you're much more likely to come out.
I just went up to them where they could see my excitement and how I had a mission to shoot the video, and I said, hey, I'll take some pictures of your group. I made sure I helped them out too. And right. I made sure that they were okay with doing the video, and they were so excited.
You're very
to do it
intentional
with me.
about the way you talk to in the way that you talk to them, huh?
Yeah, so I had no problem finding people that just wanted to do the fun thing with me.
That's very, very cool. And then another thing that essential theme in the videos that you have is you'll find that Mike talks to a lot of nice looking ladies, just people that are out. And available. It's really interesting because a lot of people, when they go out, like, you see a lot of these YouTube videos where they'll hire like a really nice looking girl to be on the video. But a lot of these YouTubers don't realize that, if you balled up a little bit and you just went and talked to a person and you wanted them on the video because they look nice, a lot of times they'll gladly oblige because video making is fun if you do it in the right way, right?
Yes, and that's part of the absurdist angle. I'm reviewing, a piece of the dorkiest electronics or arcade machine, and it's great to make it absurd as possible by just going up to party girls.
Yeah.
that I did try to get one guy to get in the Palm Pilot review, but we didn't have it ready at the time. It didn't work out. I found out that this is pretty much the only thing going on right now. It's just the bars are open and there's nothing else. So that's how I kind of ended up with this formula right now.
Okay. And another person, a lot of people might ask, like, okay, well, you're making a lot of these videos. I know that with the, you're currently working on a series that's 42 days in a row of going out and doing New Year's resolutions. Is that correct?
Yes, and funny thing, I did day one where I asked people what their New Year's resolutions were, and I got answers that I wasn't expecting. Pretty much everyone said that they just want to do more things like travel and go out. They didn't mention any type of personal sacrifice stuff, because usually when you think of New Year's resolution, you think of someone going to get a new gym membership and they're going to switch their eating and get healthier. That's what we think of first with New Year's resolutions.
Some sort of self-betterment of some sort.
Yes, maybe get a new job, things like that. And I got the exact opposite in responses because it's been a weird year. So it started out like that. And then I did a few videos where I'm just doing some, I just want to do a new thing every day to kind of grow. And all I can really think of right now is just a run. So I was hoping on day one I would get some ideas, and I was hoping it would build to where some people would want to get in on this together, and we would work on New Year's resolutions together. So I'm still working hard on that.
On like kind of getting like a New Year's resolutions, like a travel party of sorts to hang out with and make those 42 videos.
I was the original idea was that I would talk to people and get the interview and then find out if they want to actually meet up in later videos and work on things together. And we would kind of get a group going.
That would be awesome. I definitely watch. I watch your videos anyways, but so you're doing videos for 42 days in a row, which is a lot of work and time that you have to put into it. One might ask how you're able to go and do these videos, considering that you have to work and provide for yourself.
Okay, I do these as purely as a hobby. I found out about how they work well for networking later on. I started out purely as a hobby. I don't care if I make any money on them or not. And I noticed when I was talking to people, a lot of times they would say, hey, how many subscribers you got? How much money are you making? And I don't care about that at all. So the reason I have time to do all this is I spent, not even that long, maybe 6 years just working 50 hours a week and saving up and just throwing all of it into the...
How much of your paycheck do you think you actually save for every paycheck that you received?
Probably 90%.
90%. You hear that, folks? 90% of your paycheck.
Yeah, and I just sort of decided that, working was the best thing for me to do at the time. And I found some tips and tricks for how to maximize my savings. I sometimes slept on couches from friends. I sometimes just rented the cheapest rooms I could find, rooms with multiple people. I got down to 2 bags worth of stuff. Often a bicycle. I didn't have a car for a while because cars cost a lot. When I did get a car, I got the best kind possible, like just a beater car that had a good engine. And I did
a reliable commuter.
Yeah, and I did delivery with that. And I found out that I made the most money working certain delivery jobs where you could mainly use your bicycle and had a small zone.
The margins are much better on that.
Yeah, if you get like a standard job at, say, a pizza place, they might have a huge delivery zone, and the math doesn't work out with the gas you use. So if anything, I would only work Saturday and Sundays when there's less traffic and you don't end up burning as much gas sitting in traffic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I remember whenever I was in San Jose, I had a bicycle as well that I would do deliveries on for DoorDash. And a lot of the people that were doing DoorDash in their cars would tell me, like, okay, I make a decent amount, I make like, $22 an hour, pretty good, right? But the amount of money they're paying in like the depreciation of their vehicle's value and also in like gas costs and everything like that, it almost seemed like it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't worth it, but it was the margins were definitely, the profit margins were definitely a lot less than if you were to use a device like a transportation method like a bicycle or like a scooter or something that you can keep reusing with minimal expenses. So very smart, I think, and that's something that I know that now you use the cars. You use your car to do deliveries whenever you want to. Yeah.
Here and there, only in certain situations where I know the math works out. And I think companies like DoorDash, they count on the vast majority of their gig workers not paying attention to those things. So that they'll always have people willing to do the work, not without paying attention to their finances. So we can't count on DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that looking out for you.
hmm I mean, at the end of the day, whenever you work for a lot of these, I mean, they're great opportunities. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're not bashing DoorDash or Uber for doing this because it's a great opportunity for a lot of people.
Um,
But it is you do have to think about your own well being because it's your incentive to look out for that, not their incentive to.
yes, and I'll tell you exactly how to look out for it. You have to cancel all the trips that don't make sense. You might cancel 3 out of 4 trips, and you only do it during certain types of days in certain neighborhoods. That's how you can win at that.
hmm And then that's something that you do whenever you want to. Yeah, you're talking about how you saved up 90% of your paycheck. That's a significant portion, and you've built yourself up a nice little cushion that gives you returns that are big enough to be able to just to skirt by on if you so please. Yeah.
Yes, and now I can finally do anything I want to. And I found out that since I was a minimalist and a cheapskate while I was saving up, that I'm actually happy being that way. I figured out all kinds of ways to stay entertained and live that luxury lifestyle with either spending nothing or just a few bucks. Like I had no desire to spend money.
Right.
And if you knew everything I did during the week, I think you would still be envious because I'm going to different places every night.
Sleeping
I
as much as you want as well.
I used to go to the opera for $25 in the cheap seats, and then I would intermingle with everyone in tuxedos and evening gowns. When all that reopens, I'm gonna be right back there.
Yeah, heck yeah. I think it's really interesting because I was doing the math on like I was thinking I could probably live off of like after tax and about $1,000 a month. I think $1,000 a month is pretty reasonable. What like the place that, like there's a lot of places even in Austin that you could get a bunk bed for $400 a month, right? And so after that, it's just $600 for groceries and all your other expenses. And so if you're making, let's say like you're making 4% of what you invest back, and all you need basically is you need 4%. So 4% of it's 1,200. Let's say like pre-tax, that's like 1,400. Let's say, right? So 1,400 times 4, that comes out to be like what? Like into like you could have like 300, 400, 500K in your bank, which sounds like a lot of money, but if you save very, very well, then that's not very much at all. You could build that over the course of 10 years easily. And if you have that kind of savings in your bank, or sorry, not in your bank, in the stock market, then you can make the dividends back, or if you have that in real estate, or if you have that in some other investment, you can make money back, and you can just skirt off of that money.
Yeah, and I've looked a lot at the percentage. You mentioned 4%. I think it really is closer to 7%.
7%. Okay.
And I've heard 4% before. Some people
Four
believe
percent
in
is the,
that.
the low the low estimate.
But since you don't know where the stock market's going to go, you always gotta have
Buffer.
a buffer anyway. But you also mentioned real estate. I didn't get into real estate because landlording is a lot tougher than you think it is. It's a full-time job.
Hmm.
So only go into real estate if you're just looking for that job of being a landlord. It's a lot of people advise against that. The stock market, you can still do anything you want to every day, and you don't want to ever sell. You don't want to look at it. And when I was working 50 hours a week, I didn't really want to do anything else. So I was spending the lowest of all. I still had my coworkers to talk to. I still had them to hang out with. And you mentioned the big food bill. I got my food down to nearly nothing, and I don't miss luxury food at all because this is a system I do with that. I can I can live off of meal shakes that cost about $1 a day. When it's just me, but then it gives you more money when you're out with people to go ahead and spend a little bit on something nice.
Hmm.
So those oatmeal meal shakes really are great, and they fill you up, and they you feel healthy and energized afterwards. I couldn't get anyone to do the meal shakes with me, but you can get down to $1 a day. And also, I made the most money doing the delivery work for a restaurant where I was, an employee at the restaurant. And I picked a few, and I found out that if you pick just a few nights a week and maybe two restaurants, that way you can always swing by the other one when you close, and you can get the leftovers from two restaurants. And you can get your food bill down to nothing. Just take a multivitamin.
Mhm.
A lot of people wouldn't believe if they kept track how much they spend on food every month. You don't really need to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of like a revelation that I've had in my 20s, but people think that you have to make a lot of money in order to be able to save money, but that's not really true. It's what the biggest part is, like, how much are you spending, because
Exactly.
it's easier to cut costs, I think, than to make more money. And also, if you're making a lot of money and then you cut your costs even more, then your margins become like bonkers shit. Like, it's just like you're making like ridiculous amounts of money. You're able to save like 50, 60K a year, maybe even like into the hundreds, depending on like who you are. And that's after like 5 years of that, you can retire. You can retire in 5 years if you're making like 150K a year. And then like post tax, like you're only spending like 10K, or like 15K a year to live. You can save a lot of money. You can save a ridiculous amount.
And I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. I don't understand the people that, make the 150,000 and spend it all. I don't know exactly why they're doing that. I used to try to figure that out. And all I know is that I would tell people, once I started doing this, I would tell people how much I was saving and how great it was working, but I couldn't get them to downgrade how much they were spending every month. I don't know why they were so set on keeping up with their current lifestyle. I was guessing it was just they were concerned about their self image too much. And I only have 1 week worth of clothes. I have two nice outfits, and everything else is just workout
I'm about the
outfits.
same as well.
You only need two nice outfits that, are mainstream, and just so you fit in wherever you want to go. That's it. So in my latest video, I was asking girls how many clothes they had and why they needed to keep up with fashion, and I was telling them about the Audrey Hepburn photo with just the simple black dress. And I think they were young girls. I think I was able. They were agreeing with me. But then I would sometimes talk to older women, and they had, walk-in closets full of clothes that a lot of times they couldn't wear at all, either because of time or it just didn't fit them. I want to understand how that happens.
How the younger you would because you would expect the opposite, right? Like you would expect the younger chicks to be like, oh no, I need the newest, the latest and greatest thing. But then they agreed with that philosophy. But the more middle aged women that you think might be a bit more conservative with their money or with their outfits and their spending are the ones that are more prone to live extravagant lifestyles. Very interesting.
Yeah, because they would look great in just the simple black dress. I tried to. Yeah, I had some funny conversations with some where we couldn't figure it out, but I tried. So I'm thinking, people kind of get set in their ways, and don't ever get set in your ways. Do exactly what you want. It worked out for me. It worked out for me. I'm glad I did everything I did.
Good, very good. And speaking of things that you did, I know that you had. So you were talking about the diet that you posted on your channel, but you had a group, if I'm not mistaken, that you're doing some. It was like a fitness group of sorts.
Yes, and it was the standard fitness group where you get certified and you get these certification textbooks that come along with it, and it tells you exactly what to do. And it pretty much ends up being they come out, they work out for an hour, and then they go home and do all the rest. And they're still eating, carbohydrates. We tell people to eat, lots of vegetables and stuff. But I found out when they got out of my sight, they just couldn't keep their plan up. So no one really got helped doing standard fitness boot camp stuff. The only people that succeeded were the ones that were already succeeding.
Mm.
They were succeeding their whole life, and they joined the group just because they liked doing what they were already doing as a group. So I couldn't change anyone in a New Year's resolution style where they were already living an unhealthy lifestyle. Yeah, I noticed that, and I did it for years. So the reason I came up with my own plan, and I did it myself, I did 6 weeks of that, was because I thought it was like a revelation, and if those unhealthy people knew about it, then they would excitedly jump on it.
Right.
But I couldn't convince anyone really in real life. It was too much of a change, and it's tough for people to change.
And correct me if I'm wrong in my assessment for this, but what I understand is that whenever a lot of people do like a New Year's resolution-esque, they make a decision to try to change. What they're looking for a lot of times when they sign up for like a fitness boot camp or something is for the burden of their change to be lifted off of their shoulders. Because the thing is, like, what they want is like, okay, this boot camp is my salvation. This boot camp is going to be the thing that that changes my perspective, how I think, and then I'm going to transform myself into a new human being. Whereas that's not really the case. It's more you have to decide to make the change for yourself, and so much so to the point where, like you were talking about with the people that were already on the right track that came to hang out with you anyways. Those are the people that kind of decided to make a change for themselves and took action already. So they were willing to take that action. They've already kind of transformed their mindset in a way. Those are the only people that are going to have long-term results because they're the ones that are committed to the task of getting better and bettering themselves. And I think that's just kind of a testament to like the burden of your own success is always going to be on your shoulders and not really on anybody else's.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. A lot of it was people really thought an hour of working out would make a big difference. People really thought they could change the way they eat. And what was happening was there are just low-level chemical reactions going in you that you just can't fight. You can't fight it with your mind. They still had exactly the same setup in their house and their friend group, their family group. That's why my keto system worked, because I was literally walking by myself every day and just going home and then going to work. So I didn't have any outside influencers at all. Uh, I had the environment set up perfectly. So yeah, a big part of it was they really thought an hour could work every day. It just takes 24 hours, 24 hours of being focused. So I was only able to take the burden off for literally 1 hour out of 24.
Right, and the other 23 hours, assuming that you sleep for 8, that's another 15 hours a day that you have to fight eating junk food, and your cravings for junk food are gonna be multiplied, especially after working out, and like you're like, okay, your calories have been depleted. You need to replenish those calories with more calories. So you stop by a Jack in the Box and you get yourself a munchie meal worth like 2,000 calories. You get back home and you scarf the entire thing down, and just guzzle it, and then you chase that with the free sweet tea that they give you.
I have stories because they would tell me during the next boot camp meeting. I have stories exactly like that, and those are the low level chemical reactions that people think they have control over, but really don't. So my answer to that was I controlled my environment completely. I talk about in the workbook, you have to take very careful travel routes. You go from your job straight to the workout area, like it was usually walking parks, and you already have your keto food in your backpack. And then after you're done spending all day there, whether you're walking or not, you have to spend all day there. You drive straight home to your house that also only has keto food that's mostly hidden. You keep it in a cabinet, all these little psychological tricks, and then you go straight to bed. So it's very different, very different environment. And I think that was all that stuff had to happen for it to work.
Yeah, and I that lesson is something that I learned really of controlling your environment, and controlling the access to what potentially harmful temptations are in your area. I learned that at a really early age, because and my dad listens to this, but I saw my dad, and one thing is that in our house, we always had a lot of really like delicious foods. Like we had snacks, and we had really kind of junky foods sometimes. I mean, like most of everything that we ate was pretty healthy, but we had a lot of junky foods. And the junky foods a lot of times they're prepackaged, easy to consume. You can just just microwave it real quick, and then you can eat it. It's just like a very easy treat to consume. Those were the things that we had at the house, and I remember my dad was pretty upset at the fact that like having that around the house, he would always consume the things that would not be really good for you. And so now, me living by myself, I make sure to buy things that I splurge a lot when it comes to food, but for the most part, whenever I go buy food at a grocery store, I buy meats, veggies, and some form of carbs, usually rice. Because if I have that in the fridge, then I have no excuse. I have to make something, cook something, and consume that instead of going out and like getting myself a burger or something. So that controlling what your inventory is very, very important. Controlling, like what you said, like the temptations that you're exposed to, is very important for your success. And I think one last detail: when you don't control your environment, I think that's just your ego getting the best of you. Because you're saying, "Oh, I'm strong enough to be able to say no to this repeatedly every single day, and it's not going to wear down on me." Um, Oh, and this is something that won't, like it. I'm able to say no to hamburgers every single time I go buy Jack in the Box, and I think what's really important is the humility to be able to say no. This is a factor that I do not have control over. I have the control over whether I pass by here, but if I do pass in front of the Jack in the Box, you better believe that I will get like Jack in the Box every couple of days. I won't be able to fight it off forever. And so I think that people should be more humble and accept that, like, sometimes your willpower isn't enough to be able to overcome the to achieve the healthy lifestyle that you want.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about this.
Yeah,
With the
that's
hamburger thing, I've felt the same things, and I would just tell myself, I'm gonna wait for a nice hamburger when it's the right time, when I'm out with
mm,
people at a nice hamburger restaurant, those kind of things. So, yeah, whatever you think you're stuck in, you know where you're stuck in. You might be stuck in a loop of unhealthy eating, and I totally get that because for a lot of people that's a good cheap way to relax after a hard day. To eat exactly
it's
what you want
cathartic.
to. So I think the driving to a place that you're uncomfortable with and just forcing yourself to do it, we can change into anything with about 6 weeks of time. So, one great thing that I changed was starting going out to fancy dances because that was a luxury activity. And a lot of times I was nervous at first. Everyone's nervous with dancing, you know. So I would sometimes drive there and sit in my car for a while, but just being just a few feet away, I went in and I didn't care how I looked. I just told myself these people will never see me again. It's all right. And I found out that a lot of people were happy that I just showed up. And I started there. And after 6 weeks, you're suddenly an expert dancer. So think about whatever you think you can't do. Just start driving to that location and doing that same system.
That's kind of the opposite of what we were talking about with the temptation, huh? Because what we were talking about with the temptation was be wary of the things that you think you can do that you can't do. But what you just brought up is the things that you think you can't do. Make sure you tackle those head on, which is kind of the opposite. It's kind of like the opposite philosophy of what we were talking about a second ago. But I think doing those things in tandem is very important, right? Because like you're bettering yourself in both ways. Like you're cutting out the bad and you're introducing the good.
And it keeps you out of your house. Sometimes we got the worst habits when we're just in a house all day.
Mm-hmm.
So another instance where I just showed up to a random group that just loved the fact that I would be there is I need to get work on my computer one day. I just drove to a Linux user group and they were so happy I was there and they fixed my computer. I always have a couple bucks to offer them, but 9 times out of 10 they refuse. They're just happy you're
Just doing
there.
it a
So
hobby.
yeah, just look up every group and hobby that is meeting up and just go to every one of them.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So out of the ones that you've seen in Austin, what groups are the ones that you really like?
Anything that they're doing art stuff. I was in a town one time where the only thing going on was at art galleries,
Mm-hmm.
and I again just showed up to the art gallery events. They had free wine and cheese. I tried to pay them, but they refused. We just talked about art. We were all just dressed up nice, and you're networking with positive people.
Right. I have a funny story about that one actually. This is whenever I was back in the Bay Area, right? That's an inside joke with all the people I live here because I keep bringing up the time that I was in California. But but I remember I had this place that I was interning at just for free because I wanted some job experience, and my boss was attending an event, and he's a pretty prominent figure. So he invited us to go to this event, and it was like a like an HR summit. Basically, it was like an HR group, and it was hosted in a little wine cellar. And they had fantastic desserts, lots of really great cheeses, and basically an open bar for wine. and it cost hardly nothing to go to this place. And I had my one suit, which is, by the way, I do the same thing where I have one suit, and I have a couple of nice outfits as well. But I wore my suit and a vest as well, and I went out to this event and I networked with people that were the like VPs of HR or like the directors of HR at these huge Silicon Valley companies, right? And I was networking with these people. I still have my on my LinkedIn and everything, um, for free because the entry was paid by somebody else. So whenever you have the opportunity to go to a free event like that, especially if you're in a place where you're like me, where you don't have too much money to spend, take those opportunities because I mean, worst case scenario, you get a lot of cheese out of it, you know,
Yeah.
and best case scenario, you meet a lot of cool people. I had a couple of cougars hit on me. I remember that. That's something that happened. That was really interesting. I didn't expect that, but they almost found me a job, and not in the way that y'all are thinking. I'm talking about an actual job at a company. Almost got myself a job, but if I had gone to enough of those events, then I'm sure I would have found myself with the job that I desired.
Yeah, and yeah, I have a similar story. You know, you might be thinking, I can't go to an art gallery tomorrow. Like, I'm not ready. But all you got to do is look presentable. You don't have to look like you belong there, but, just dress nice, be clean, and be open. Just walk up to everyone and just say, hi, how you doing? That's all you got to say. And once you see everyone a couple times, a lot of rich people, they had lots of things going on. They might have multiple businesses. They need people to staff them, either regularly or irregularly. And you can find lots of jobs that way. I did as well. I did as well. And since they're generally doing good, they're going to pay you well. They're going to treat you well. All they have to know is that you're a reliable, stable person that they can trust, and they're going to trust you once they see you a couple times and talk to you here and there. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, I mean, I had Albert on my podcast a couple podcast episodes ago. Um, just a little bit of background for Mike. Albert is he's a content marketer, senior content marketer, sorry, that works at Oracle, big company, right? And then he's also the founder of a Silicon Valley startup as well. Brilliant guy. And this guy, I just happened to stay at his Airbnb whenever I moved out to California, and I was his guest, but we ended up talking quite a bit because he's a really knowledgeable, smart guy, and essentially what that turned into was a partnership. He had this little odd task that he was had a group for with managing his online platforms, and I got in on that. And I remember some job fairs that he hosted in the Bay Area. I've worked with him on being one of the facilitators of that, working at the job fair, and I made a couple extra bucks doing that, and I got to network with a lot of really cool companies. We went on site at this company called Rakuten. It's a Japanese company. It's a huge e-commerce company, but I was part of the staff for a huge, like maybe like 1,000 person plus job fair that was happening at that place, and that was super exciting. And that's something that I wouldn't have been able to do if it weren't for just talking to him, like just talking to random people that you meet. You know.
Yeah, a good skill to have is to be able to just walk up and confidently and smoothly say hi to people. And they want to talk, so let them talk. I learned that skill by just going out to bars and systematically talking to everyone. I learned so much more than I ever could on the internet or reading about it. I noticed there was people that were just purely interested in how many subscribers I had or what my job was, and I just learned to just tell them, "Hey, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to have fun tonight and talk to people, and I want to talk to you." I'm interested in what you got going on. And you just say it just like that, like you have nothing to prove. And that skill helps you out when you're ready to network with people.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I think we're coming up on an hour plus here. I think we've been doing this, but your YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
Oh, it's MC2085.
MC2085. Excellent channel. Really funny content. You're almost a daily uploader at this point, huh? You at least put out content like once or twice a week.
Yeah, just when I'm interested in something, and it's easy to shoot video now if you're actually interested in the subject you're talking about. You don't have to do multiple takes. You can often do it in one take, and you get better at just being able to do one take.
Mhm.
So it almost takes no time to shoot a video if you're actually interested in the subject.
Right. And minimal resources too, because you use what, your phone?
I use my phone, and I got a tripod for $10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a great networking thing. When you pull out a tripod, everyone suddenly wants a picture, and it makes it even easier to systematically network with every single person there.
Right. And not to mention, like, your phone is that's something that you've already paid for, that you have. You don't even have to buy anything new. This is something that you already have for communication purposes. And so you have that phone, you can record videos. Now you have $10 you spend on a tripod. Then to edit videos, like, you do that on your computer, which you already had anyways, right?
Yeah, and I even use a Linux app for the video editing.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, with virtually no money invested, you could go out and you could make these videos. You could make a tripod. You could put your phone on a rock. You don't even need the tripod. The tripod is just like the cherry on top. So, I mean, you don't need to spend any money. Like, a lot of these YouTubers will tell you, like, okay, invest this money in this so that you can have high production value. But you don't need that. You absolutely don't need that. This microphone that I'm recording this on was $20. Didn't cost hardly anything. I already had my computer here. And yeah, I'm not spending hardly anything on making this podcast. It's just a thing that I do for fun, and I interview some weirdos, and primarily because I'm the weirdo that's making this podcast. So I like to have a lot of fun people on here. But speaking of fun people, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Do you have anything else that you want to mention before you go?
Oh yeah, with the YouTube setup I have, it all I have to worry about is how well lit the environment is, and you can find naturally well lit areas. You got to make sure there's no cars driving by or the volume's not too high, and just don't have the camera shaking around. That's all you got to do with my current setup.
Gotcha. You heard it, folks. Get out there, go make some videos, and we'll have a podcast number 24, I believe. It'll be, I'm not sure exactly who I'm going to do it with. It might just be me and Danny, but we have a couple of other guests that we're thinking about having on the podcast. So stay tuned for that. Also, I'm looking at finishing up that podcast course that I've been working on for a while. Me and Danny have put a lot of effort into making the curriculum for the podcast course. And so we'll be working on finalizing the other 5 lessons that we have that we need to work on. And then I'm also thinking about making a different video for the Broken Homies YouTube channel, but I'll keep you posted on that in future episodes. But until then, you guys keep chugging along, keep hustling. Don't let Corona get you down, and see you soon.